Welcome everyone to Managing Morgellons Lands. I'm Lance Tykolis and I'll be your host. Today is the second installment in my series called Morgellons Global Pandemic, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Canada, Worldwide. I am dedicating today's video to the attention of the Prime Minister of Canada himself, the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, and of course, his faithful administration. After my introduction, I will recite to you one of the most important letters to the Minister of Health of Canada regarding Morgellons disease ever written. It's called Declaration of Public Healthcare Emergency in Canada related to Morgellons disease. I would say that the subject title of this letter is quite self-explanatory. The problem with this letter is not the letter itself. The problem is that this crisis has been completely ignored. The Minister of Health of Canada completely ignored it. I have proof from her executive assistant that she received this emergency declaration. When you see my first video, and then you hear me recite the following letter written to the Minister of Health of Canada from 2 years ago, the first thing you're going to ask yourself is, why didn't the government do anything? It's their job to deal with exactly this. I mean, what if the government just completely ignored coronavirus? They wouldn't. And if they did, they wouldn't be in government for much longer. So why has the government done nothing to protect the public for the past 20 years related to Morgellons disease? This is a public healthcare emergency like no other. I have been abused, drugged against my will, victimized, and humiliated over and over again. The humiliation goes on to this very day. It's humiliating for me even to have to make this video and to call out my own government and to beg them to stop discriminating against me just because I became infected with Morgellons disease. For reasons yet to be explained, our mainstream media won't report this crisis. And the famous singer, songwriter, folk music artist, Joni Mitchell, she has Morgellons disease. And nobody's ever heard of this? Really, you say? Really? As much as it hurts me to say this, the truth of the matter is that our trusted healthcare authorities have failed the public, specifically with respect to the pandemic management of Morgellons disease. You see, innocent people become infected with Morgellons disease. What this means is, you're fine one day, but suddenly out of nowhere, you begin to develop all the variable symptoms consistent with chronic Lyme disease, and yet completely different because suddenly you also begin to get disfiguring lesions on your skin and terrible itching that gets worse and worse until it eventually affects your body from head to toe. Hospitals, clinics, and doctors, they can't help you. They all tell you nothing's wrong with you. You go from doctor to doctor and eventually you're accused of being psychotic. You're drugged against your will with mind-altering antipsychotic pharmaceutical drugs. That's what happened to me. So even though you're going mad, rather than just giving up and killing yourself immediately, you begin to research your symptoms on the web, and eventually you come to discover the name Morgellons disease through the Oklahoma State University Center for Health Sciences. What you find is this. I will read you a quote directly from Dr. Randy Wymore, the head of the Oklahoma State University Center for the Investigation of Morgellons disease. He says, collectively, the research into Morgellons disease clearly shows a bacterial infective process in these patients. Dr. Randy Wymore and his research team found Borrelia DNA in the Morgellons samples. Borrelia is the name of the bacteria which causes Lyme disease. The question is, why is your skin itching when you get this disease? To better understand the answer to this question, I will read the description of this disease. Morgellons disease is a multi-system illness characterized by the formation of unusual, sometimes brightly colored fibers within the skin. It is a debilitating, painful, and life-impacting condition. In addition to slowly healing skin lesions, an array of multi-system symptoms can occur, including fatigue, joint and muscle pain, intestinal problems, and neurological symptoms, including behavioral changes. Patients with Morgellons disease may shed unusual particles from their skin described as fibers, sand, or seed-like black specks, or crystallized particles. So why your skin itches is because you have a very serious bacterial infection going on in your body, undiagnosed and untreated, and you have fibers and other unusual material growing inside your skin. Really, you say? Really? That's what Morgellons disease is. It's terrible, and it has been spreading as a pandemic worldwide ever since at least 2001, when the US scientist Mary Leitao gave it its name. Now, 20 years later, I'm writing the Prime Minister of Canada saying that he's the only hope for all Canadians who are at risk of becoming infected with this disease. 20 years later, I am teaming up with Morgellons patients throughout the United States and from all over the world who are also calling upon their leaders to stop the discrimination and to stop the drugging and to beg to be rescued. So, I am about to read to you the declaration of a public health emergency related to Morgellons disease, which the Minister of Health of Canada completely ignored for the past 2 years. And for the record, I have proof from her executive assistant that she received this emergency declaration. And just remember to ask yourself, why didn't the government do anything when they have known for decades now that Morgellons is a global pandemic spreading throughout the world without any preventative measures of any kind whatsoever? Meanwhile, they knew all along Morgellons disease patients worldwide were being accused of suffering from a severe psychiatric delusional disorder and being drugged with antipsychotics against their will. Meanwhile, Morgellons is a terrible infectious disease. And here's this letter. To the Honorable Jeanette Petitpas-Taylor, Minister of Health of Canada, I am contacting you today about a disease known to the public since 2002 as Morgellons disease. Recent scientific studies over the past decade have identified this disease and have provided an abundance of peer-reviewed evidence attributing it to infectious tick-borne disease. Infectious tick-borne disease known as Borrelia in particular, also known as Lyme disease. I have searched your website and the internet, but the only thing I have found from Canadian healthcare authorities identifying Morgellons disease was this letter I have attached from your office, the Office of the Minister of Health of Canada, from August 2009, which included such statements as: the causes and risk factors of this disease have not yet been scientifically established. In Canada, the Public Health Agency of Canada is keeping current on new research and monitoring occurrence of the disease. Since this letter from 10 years ago, I have found no conclusions or reports from the ongoing Public Health Agency of Canada investigation or from your office. On May 10th and 29th, 2019, I contacted the Association of Medical Microbiology and Infectious Disease Canada, the AMMI, for more information on Morgellons disease, but their reply was not forthcoming. On May 29, 2019, I contacted the Canadian Institute for Health Information, the CIHI, and stated that I was seeking information related to Morgellons disease. The CIHI was unable to help me, but stated that if I was looking to, quote, make changes within healthcare systems with Canada and increasing awareness and shaping policy surrounding this disease and its treatment, close quote, they recommended I should contact the relevant ministries of health and elected officials for guidance. I must clarify that I don't currently see myself in a position to shape healthcare policies, as I have no expertise in such matters of public governance. My interest currently remains in obtaining information from Canadian healthcare authorities on Morgellons disease as a preliminary step to this declaration today. Here is a link to the nonprofit United States Morgellons Disease Foundation called the Charles E. Holman Morgellons Disease Foundation, located at www.thecehf.org. This page from their website, same website with the attachment added /research, includes a considerably long list of new, scientifically established, peer-reviewed research and relevant information proving that Morgellons disease is a true physiologic disease. Having undertaken an investigation, I am sure that at this point, your office and the Public Health Agency of Canada are well aware that healthcare authorities worldwide and the majority of healthcare professionals have taken a strong position stating that Morgellons disease is strictly a psychiatric disorder, where they claim that there is no physiological evidence of disease of keratin collagen fibers growing in the human skin of these patients, despite these scientific studies. To this very day, in accordance with reports from the Charles E. Holman Morgellons Disease Foundation, patients suffering with Morgellons disease are ridiculed and denied proper treatment for this physiological disease, and they are submitted to psychiatric intervention where they are told the disease does not exist whatsoever and that the keratin collagen fibers growing out of their skin do not exist. These patients are prescribed strong black box antipsychotic drugs such as Pimozide, while being ordered to ignore their symptoms despite them suffering from this true physiological disease. In many cases, Morgellons disease patients are denied a proper psychiatric intervention, and in such cases, the dermatologist provides the psychiatric diagnosis and provides treatment using pharmaceutical antipsychotic drugs with no oversight whatsoever. According to this foundation, year after year, a large number of these patients decline in health due to being denied proper health care. And as a result, countless numbers of these patients have committed suicide and continue to do so to this very day. It appears, therefore, that these tragic deaths are the result of an abomination of the healthcare system and the governing bodies who regulate them. With all due respect, please provide me with a formal statement on your official position related to this condition known to the public as Morgellons disease as soon as possible, given this is an extremely urgent related matter to public health affairs in Canada, which has been going on for so many years without proper oversight or resolution. I also request that you provide the conclusions of your investigation into Morgellons disease directly to me, which appears to have begun long before August 2009 in accordance with the attached letter from your office. My hope and determination is that the unfair discrimination and abuse against all vulnerable Morgellons disease patients in Canada end immediately and without further delay in order to prevent more unnecessary suicides. That Morgellons disease patients are treated with dignity and respect rather than to be victimized, humiliated, and injured by the very institutions who are mandated to protect them. That they are provided with proper support and health care according to their health-related requirements surrounding this scientifically validated physiological disease. I myself am not at risk of suicide, but I know of a number of patients who have been victimized as described above and have ended their own lives in a state of utter horror and despair, claiming that their desperate position is no different than abuse and torture by licensed medical professionals and the agencies who regulate them. Please help me by responding as soon as possible to my very serious concerns about this public health disaster currently going on in Canada. Under these circumstances, as a Canadian citizen dedicated to the Queen, her people, and this proud nation of Canada, I hereby find it necessary to declare this situation as a public healthcare emergency. If you are in disagreement with my assessment and determination on the matter as such, in accordance with the scientific evidence provided, I would respectfully request that you make your reasoning clear to me in your reply so that we can all move forward with this issue in kind. Thank you for your attention on such an extremely urgent matter of this apparent public health care emergency in Canada related to the infectious tick-borne disease known to the public as Morgellons disease. Earnestly, Lance Tykolis. So there you have it. Now you have fully come to understand how serious it is that we Morgellons disease patients must beg our leaders to respond to this declaration of an emergency healthcare crisis. Now you have come to fully understand why I'm using this tone of dissatisfaction. I look forward to your support. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel because this is just the beginning. This is crimes against humanity. These are institutional, worldwide human rights violations against all Morgellons disease patients. And all we need is for just one world leader, such as the Right Honorable Justin Trudeau, or the US President Joe Biden, or any other world leader out there to say, hey, you're right. This is a pandemic. Our healthcare authorities have completely failed the public, and now we are going to do something about it. I look forward to the response by our trusted government officials, Justin Trudeau in particular, and I hope you do too. I'm your host, Lance, and I hope my videos will contribute toward changing the lives of all Morgellons disease patients worldwide, and I hope to contribute to causing Morgellons disease to be validated as a true physical disease. Good day to you all.